Hi, Julie Dean with Culinary works here, and in honor of St. Patrick's Day, I thought that we would cook up some really fun Irish food for you guys. And the dish that we're going to start with today is going to be colcannon. But with the colcannon, we're going to be serving a pan-seared wild salmon. And colcannon, if you don't know, is basically mashed potatoes, go figure, right? Mashed potatoes, but you mix in, traditionally, you could say it's probably cabbage and leeks. But today, because I'm such a lover of kale, as most of you guys probably know, we're gonna do leeks and kale. And then throw really some yummy brown butter on there. And then we're gonna pan sear the salmon, and that's going to go right in the pot. But first we have to get these potatoes boiling. So I'm just gonna cut the potatoes into really, really large chunks here, kind of like chunks like this, really big. You don't wanna cut, like even this one I'm just gonna keep whole. You don't wanna cut the potatoes too small, because if you cut them too small, they're gonna end up soaking up too much water, and they're gonna be watery mashed potatoes, which is something you definitely don't want. You also wanna make sure, like these two potatoes right here, like these two, they're perfect, so they're just gonna go in whole. You also really want to make sure that when you do your potatoes that you're starting with cold water. That is super, super important. If you start with hot water, then, because you think, oh my God, I'm in a hurry, I'm going to start with hot water. You can't do that. You really can't rush mashed potatoes because hot water will start cooking the potatoes from the outside in versus cold water starts cooking the potatoes from the inside out. So kind of, like this one's kind of in between, but I'd rather have the potatoes be pretty creamy, so I'm gonna go ahead and leave this one whole. So anyway, so start cooking the potatoes from this is cold water here, with cold water, and you're cooking them from the inside out that way. So you wanna make sure they're fully covered in water there, which is fine, they're fully covered. I'm gonna turn this on high, I'm gonna add a little bit of salt here, just to start to give them a little bit of flavor. I'm gonna add in 1 bay leaf and just let them boil until they're fork tender. And then we'll move on from there, then we'll check in with the rest of our ingredients. Okay, so we have our potatoes boiling in the background, so they're just fine. We're gonna give them about 10 or 15 minutes. We are going to be starting with the rest of the potato, which, right, remember I said we're making the colcannon, and we're gonna add in some sauteed leeks, which I have chopped up right here. Remember, with the leeks, you only want the light green and the white part. And then we're gonna start to kind of get our kale going here. And I have a special guest that's gonna be joining me today. And this person, I thought would be the first one of my special guest series, considering he's Irish.
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit, yep. And you like mashed potatoes.
Love them.
Yep, exactly. So, I don't know, how do you feel about putting in the kale and everything into the mashed potatoes?
I think I can handle that.
You can?
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, I think kale's in like 50% of the stuff we eat anyway. So.
Okay, maybe not quite, but yeah, I like kale. Okay, so I have our gas on here. I'm going to add some butter. We are using the Kerrygold Irish butter today because we should be, right? It is delicious butter anyway. So I'm going to add a little bit of butter in here, and I'm going to start to saute the leeks, and honey, with the kale, you're going to start to work on that, right?
Yep.
So we're just pulling it off the stem like he's doing there. We don't want to use the stems because the stems will be way too fibrous, right? Actually, I saw something on the internet the other day about like something with kale stems, and I was like, okay, I don't need to go that far now. I'm not a big fan, so. All right, so we're gonna wait for this to sizzle just for a quick sec, and then we'll go ahead and start sauteing our greens there. Yeah, there we go, all right.
Are we using all these?
Yeah, I think so. So you're just gonna, basically what's gonna happen is once we have the potatoes all mashed and everything, all that stuff is gonna go in. Yep, there we go. I don't know why I wasn't hearing much there. Okay, so you're just, yeah, slice that up or chop it up nice and fine. You might have to make it 2 piles, I don't know. That's
I think so.
It might be a little easier. Yeah, that's right, start with 1 pile. Okay, now I hear something on the leeks here. I wasn't hearing anything, and that's something that really helps when you're cooking. When you can't hear it cooking, that's a problem. Like, now you guys hear this, right? You hear the sizzle, so now we know something's going on. When you don't hear the sizzle, that's not good. Unless something, you're right, unless something is simmering. So, right, look at that. Nice skills over there. Who'd you learn that from?
Brooke.
daughter.
How's that right there? Or finer?
Yeah, that looks pretty good. Maybe go a little bit more. A little bit more.
I knew that was going to be the answer, by the way.
Right, it's always a
It
little
was
bit.
always just a little bit more.
Always, everything's always a little bit more.
Yeah,
How's your Guinness?
it's delicious. Getting ready for Wednesday.
Right, exactly. I made that mistake earlier with the bottles, right?
Yeah, but you want to get it in the can, much better.
Right. And why is that with Guinness? And you know what? I told you, I was sitting there and I was like, oh my gosh, I know for some reason Guinness needs to be in a can. You know, because obviously you'd like prefer. I'm gonna do a little salt here in the leeks. But I went against my gut.
There
You
you
shouldn't.
go.
Like you should listen to your gut, right?
Just like when you're cooking.
Right. Exactly. So wait, why is that? That Guinness should
I
be.
don't know that answer specifically. Why?
It just creates a better foam
It
at the
does.
top, right?
Yep.
The
So
head.
it more feels like it's a draft.
Right. So, anyway, I'll have a little Guinness with you in a little while.
Okay.
All right, as we should. Okay, so we're gonna give these leeks another couple minutes. We're gonna add our these little hot. So I'm gonna turn it down a little bit. Let these soften up a little bit more. Then we're gonna add our kale, and we will keep going.
All right, so we're going to continue chefing it up here. The leeks look really good. I'm going to add some butter right now. Julia left me all low and offset, but that's all right. I can handle this.
Huh?
All
I'm
right,
here now.
going to melt the butter.
We're gonna add some pepper to that.
Add a little pepper.
Yeah. The pan was looking a little bit dry, so we add a little bit more butter, and it's mashed potatoes, so the more butter the better, right? All right, in goes our nice kale. And like I said in the beginning, like instead of kale, you know, traditionally, it's really any greens, but cabbage, right? Because that was kind of like, you know, part of the Irish cuisine, lots of cabbage. So cabbage you could use in there, and you know, certainly kale too. So, but I think the cabbage is the most traditional. Okay, so give that a good stir, right? Turn up the heat a little bit. So that's going to really shrink down. You know, the thing with your greens is it certainly shrinks a lot, right? Our potatoes are good. Ooh, that's really hot, so I'm going to just check that. So we want the potatoes fork tender. Let's go look here. No. Nope.
You couldn't penetrate it.
Right, couldn't penetrate. So they're not ready yet, so kale's looking good.
I hear sizzle.
Right, you hear noise, which, you know, again, use your intuition. Unlike what I did today with the Guinness. Looks
See
good.
that? Looks
Yeah,
good.
yeah. We're gonna give it a couple more minutes, and then once the potatoes are done, we will come right back to you guys. Okay, moving along here. Our potatoes are still cooking, so we're done cooking the sauteed kale and the leeks. I just tasted it, it's delicious. And we're gonna make some brown butter because I want to drizzle that as a garnish, and I just thought it'd be pretty to put on with the potatoes, and I thought it'd be nice for you guys to learn how to make a brown butter. You can use any amount of butter to make brown butter, but you do want to make sure it's unsalted because otherwise it concentrates too much and it gets really salty. So we're using the Kerry gold butter, and I'm using the unsalted butter. So I have a little skillet here, a little pot, and the inside of the pot is stainless steel so that you can kind of see the butter browning. All I'm going to do essentially, you just put the butter on and you let it cook. You stir it once in a while, just keep your eye on it. And what's going to happen, what's going to brown is the milk solids are going to start to brown. And they're going to get nice and toasty, and that's what gives it that really kind of nutty, like it's so good, right? The brown butter.
Delicious, yeah.
And it's so, like nowadays, like they're putting brown butter in like pancakes or putting it in baked goods, so they're really kind of using it a lot in different ways. And the good thing too about this Kerry gold butter is that it's really nutritious. You know, it's more nutritious butter for you than some of the other ones out there because it's from grass-fed cows. Obviously in Ireland they have lots of grass, right? Those green pastures, so it's a much, you know, kind of healthier butter for you. So that's just nice and golden. We're just going to give it some time and let it kind of cook away. Just, you know, put it to the side. Just keep your eye on it, you know, every here and there, and you'll see it start to brown. And do we want to talk about the
Yeah. So the reason why this draft is much better in the can than in the glass is because they inject nitrogen when they're canning the Guinness, and there's a widget at the bottom. You can hear that. So when you open up your new Guinness and you pour it in, it's like getting a fresh draft at the pub. So there you go.
All right, nice. All right, so we're gonna let our butter keep browning here, and hopefully our potatoes should be done soon. They take a while, and then we'll move on.
All right, we are back. We have the potatoes are boiled and ready to start to mash and add some butter.
Yeah.
What else are we gonna add to that? We're gonna add some milk.
Yep. We have a little bit of milk and cream. That's kind of a special treat. Normally I just do milk, but I was like, I think a little cream would be good. So the brown butter's done. I'm just gonna pour this in here so you guys can see. One of those nice butter solids go to the bottom here. You're gonna see that nice kind of really pretty color there. So that tastes like super nutty and has such really nice rich flavor.
Mashing away over here.
We're mashing away. Yeah, we left some of the water in there when we were cooking the potatoes. Here you go, I'll add some of this for you. We left some water in there just for it to, you know, just to add just some of the liquid, some of that starchy water. And we're gonna have to add some salt and pepper. We probably won't need too much salt though, honey, because of the everything else we have with the leeks and everything.
I could just have this for my dinner.
Looks pretty good,
It's delicious.
right?
Yeah.
You want to just taste it first? Give it a little taste. How's your Guinness, by the way?
Delicious. Tastes good. Got some little chunks in there still, which I like.
Yeah, it's okay. I like that too. Okay, so let's start to add in our mix here. So I'll just start to pour it in. You're gonna start mixing, right? There you go. Sorry, I should have gotten you another spoon. There you go. There.
Good.
All right. So that's our, remember that's our leek and our kale mixture. It's looking good there. Here, I'm gonna get a close up.
Nice and colorful.
I know. Oops. I'm gonna bring, let's see, honey, we're gonna get a little close
here.
up there.
Let me get this.
I got it.
You got it?
Look at that. Just give it a little stir here so we can see the texture. Looks good. I think after we've added that kale mix, we can maybe add a little bit more cream. What do you think? I think that would, yeah, just a little touch. Perfect, that looks great. Yeah. See how that kind of brought it together a little bit more when we added that? It's nice.
There you go.
Okay, good. So next we need a salmon, and we will come right back.
All right, we are ready to start preparing the salmon. We have king salmon here today, honey.
We do.
Right,
salmon
your
from
favorite?
Fjord. I know, I do like the king salmon.
So we're preheating the pan always.
Yep, it's nice and hot.
I'm gonna add a little salt, pepper.
Yep. Great. Salt and pepper. So it's getting nice and hot over here. We're gonna go this side down first. Get that really nice sear. When I let this get just hotter just for a quick minute here. Yeah, no, just that one I didn't.
Okay. A little variety. One with skin, right?
Right, yeah. I like the skin.
I know. It's good when it's crunchy.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yep, that's good. Nice and hot. Right, okay, that's what you want to hear when you put your fish down. You want to hear it sizzle like that. Let me just get over down there. Okay, so see how you just tried to move it? Like just then you tried to move it a little bit and it sticks, right? It sticks. So when you first put your fish down, you have to leave it, okay? So you can see here, they're equally spaced out, okay? But now we have this fish here. Don't move it, don't touch it, nothing. Just let it go. Let it get a nice sear on it, okay? If you try to move it, it's gonna stick. So people always say, oh, I need a non-stick pan, I need a non-stick pan, everything always sticks. Well, it sticks because you're moving it too soon. So just give it some time, let it form a crust. Once it forms a crust, it will release from the pan, okay? Unless you have like a sticky you know, a sticky coating on there or something with like barbecue sauce, then that's gonna stick. But in this situation, just leave it alone. All right, so we're gonna let our salmon keep cooking. Looks good here. And the potatoes are done, as you guys saw. And so we're about to wrap this one up. I'm really excited to eat.
I can't wait to try. I'm starving.
I know. Maybe that's time for, maybe I'll have a Guinness then.
Yeah, join me with, you know, I've been drinking alone all day.
Well, I don't want to drink on camera too much. All right, I gotta stay focused, honey.
All right.
Okay, so we'll see you back in a minute.
Cheers. All right, we are ready to flip the salmon. We've been very, very patient.
Yeah. In all fairness, I did have to nudge it a little bit.
Little nudge here and there.
Yeah, I did have to kind of, you know, this is a stainless steel pan. And I think I needed a little bit more oil on the bottom, but it's fine. I mean, it looks, we have a nice, really pretty color on the bottom there.
Right.
Yep. And so now it's like, okay, so when everybody talks about timing a lot, and they're always concerned with like, well, how do you get everything hot and ready? So at this point, this is what you wanted. You wanted to get a nice, really pretty color crust on the salmon, which is what we have now. So at this point, it's like we can just turn it down. It can sit, right, it can just sit and cook as you kind of get everything else ready, right? You're like heating up your plates, you're making sure that your potatoes are ready or your other side dish that you're doing is ready. So at that point, that's, you know, kind of one tip as to how to, you know, kind of pull off, you know, like a multi-course, a multi-item dish, right? You know, where you have a couple different things going on the plate here. So we're just going to give this just a couple minutes just to kind of finish cooking, and then I think we're, you know, ready to plate. I mean, we could probably, well, we'll give it another couple minutes. Yeah, a couple minutes, because it's still probably pretty rare. Oh, also, you know what? Actually, one tip. When you're cooking fish, you know, a lot of times people are always a little bit confused as to like, oh my gosh, is it done? I can't quite tell if it's done or not. So one thing you can do is to take a sharp knife, right? So like a little paring knife, and just in the thick part of the fish, I'm going to insert this knife just gently, and I'm going to hold the knife in there for 1, 2, 3, 4, so like, you know, 6, 7 seconds. Hold the knife, and I'm going to pull the knife out. Okay, I think we're pretty good. Like, the knife is hot, so we'll do this, and I'll have you do it, Peter, so you tell me. So I'm going to find a nice little part there. I'm going to hold it in there for another, and I'm going to have you feel the knife right away. Okay, so you feel the knife there. It's warm, okay. So that's telling you that the inside is warm. So it's like medium rare, okay? So if you pull the knife out and the knife is cold, or, you know, doesn't really have anything on it, then you can tell that the inside is still, you know, kind of needs to be cooked more. So because the internal temperature of the fish will resonate to the knife, okay, without having to really kind of disrupt this, you know, beautiful piece of fish that you have here. So we're going to actually, I think we can plate we'll just plate these two pieces right now. So
All right.
Looks good. So let me get a spoon here to serve the potatoes. Just use this spoon here. So probably like, maybe like, you know, kind of towards the center there.
I know, honey. I know.
You love me, honey. Most of the time.
Most of the time is for sure. 26 years.
Oh, good Lord, help us.
How's that?
That looks great. And you know, like, what's one of my favorite dishes?
King salmon.
Yeah, but with what?
Mashed potatoes.
With potatoes, like, well,
fish and potatoes.
Fish and potatoes, like fish and mashed potatoes, like I absolutely just love. That's good. That's a generous, really generous portion. You're so nice.
I'll eat your leftovers.
Okay. So yes, I do love fish and potatoes. I think it's really good together. Okay, so put these kind of like, you know.
Right.
Right. Let's see how he does. I'm gonna do the butter though. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Good.
All right.
Yeah, that's not so bad. You're doing a good job. Yeah, I'm gonna nudge it right in there.
Nudge it right in.
Nudge it right in. Oh, and I also have that crunchy kale over there. Okay, so we're gonna add a little brown butter here. I'm gonna drizzle that right on top of the fish, right on top of the potatoes on the plate there. So a little brown butter, a little bit on the potatoes, just a little. That looks good, right? Just a little bit on the bottom, just so we can get the
Presentation.
Presentation. Looks good. Okay, so I just did like a kind of a couple of crunchy kales. Like I just thought, you know, that would be a fun little garnish there. You know, like kale chips, because considering, you know, we have a little, yeah.
That's great.
That was kind of funky. Okay, so let's take a quick peek. Can you get a close-up on the camera?
Sure.
Here, try to turn that. Looks good. right? And this is our Cold Cannon, our pan-seared salmon with Cold Cannon. That's why I went with the salmon, honey, because I thought the salmon with the color, the green and the, you know, kind of gold color, I thought that worked really well. Happy St. Patrick's Day. I'm gonna have my Guinness.